Hello, Mr. Kennedy. My name is Nowman Niswander, independent media from Pasadena, also KPFK-FM's Rebel Alliance News. I'm the grandson of Swiss immigrants, and I know you mentioned that most of the people coming across the border were coming because of money and not because of political asylum. I know my grandparents came here because they wanted a new life here in the United States. That being said, the U.S. Congressional Budget Office's own report that they released last year, from 1989 to 2019, the bottom 50% of the population economically was sharing 2% of the wealth. So we have to deal with these issues, and when there is a Kennedy administration, are we going to see a sequel to the New Deal, new jobs programs, regulating Wall Street, securing Social Security? What do you intend to do once you are president of the United States?
I'm a traditional Kennedy Democrat. I think human dignity, and particularly dignity of the workers, and the American middle class are the foundation stones not only of our economy but American democracy. I grew up in a period in American history that economists call the Great Prosperity. It was a period of approximately 50 years, 40 to 50 years following World War II, when the American middle class became the greatest economic engine in the history of mankind. So at the time that I was a young man, our country owned half the wealth on the face of the earth. And the American middle class was flourishing. We were producing products that everybody in the world wanted. People, when I went abroad, people would do anything to buy Levi jeans that I was wearing. People wanted American cars. In Europe, I traveled a lot with my father and my mother when I was little. And they wanted our electronics, RCA Victrola and radios, and transistor radios, all these things that we had invented. And we were beloved around the world. People loved the United States of America. When I went in 1964, I went to Poland with my dad. Poland at that time was a communist country. And the communists were, my father went without permission from the government. We got the visa across the border. The Polish government, communist government, didn't want us there, and they were doing everything to make sure that the state-controlled press did not report our presence in the country. They never did. And in fact, one day we went to take a bunch of presents that we brought from the United States to an orphanage in Warsaw. And the government had removed all the orphans by the time we got there. So, and we went to Krakow to meet the cardinal, who everybody knew that he was a saint. He'd been tortured and jailed by the communists, and he's an extremely reverential, pious man and an inspiration. He had inspired a resurgence in the Catholic Church in Poland, and we went to his residence, to the Cathedral of Black Madonna in Krakow. And we were waiting for him, to meet this guy who everybody knew was going to be beatified as a saint as soon as he died. And we went, actually in the kitchen, this is kind of a side story, but it's interesting. There was a priest who made chicken sandwiches for me and my brothers, my mother and father. He spoke English, and he wanted to talk about skiing and what skiing was like in the United States. And that priest who we spent the afternoon with before we were given the audience with Krakow later became Pope John Paul II. And nobody knew we were there, except people saw us when we went in. And when we came out, there were over 1 million people in the plaza outside the cathedral. And they surrounded our car. We were on the embassy vehicle, and my father got us all to crawl out the window. We stood on the top of the car. And I was a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid at that time. And all I did all afternoon was sign autographs for people. And they shook our car. They sang "Sto Lat" to us, which means "May you live forever." It's kind of a national song, an anthem of Poland. People were crying. This wave of emotion was extraordinary because they loved the United States. We were a moral authority around the world. And all of that was taken out of the growth of the American middle class. And every social scientist will tell you that without a middle class, you cannot have democracy. In nations where there's large disparities of wealth, of great wealth above, and an understory of widespread poverty below, is an economic configuration that's too unstable to support democracy. You need a middle class to have democracy, and we are losing the middle class in this country. And we need, I'm running for president because that is going to be the focus of everything I do, to restore the American middle class, the economy, the good health, the end of the war economy, which is draining our country, the closure of these bases, and around the world, and bring that money home and rebuild America.